Hi, everyone, and welcome. My name is Rosalie Olmsted. I am WiCyS Strategic Partner Coordinator, and it's an honor to have you all here today with WiCyS Strategic Partner, Arctic Wolf. But before we get started and before I pass it over to Meg and Haley, I would like to give you a quick overview of the WiCyS organization. We often go by our acronym, WiCyS, because that is exactly what we are, a global cyber sisterhood. WiCyS is a 501c3 nonprofit organization with a mission to recruit, retain, and advance women in cybersecurity. Our community is made up of over 10,000 members in over 103 countries, and we have 70 professional affiliates as well as 300 student chapters around the world. We offer a variety of initiatives and skills development programs, including our leadership series, Job Board Plus Plus, ISE2, our annual conference, which will be coming up April 2nd through the 5th in Dallas, Texas, our mentor-mentee program, and so much more. We owe all of our wonderful initiatives and programs to all of our strategic partners that fund us year-round. Our Tier 1 partners being specifically 3M, Akamai, Amazon, Bloomberg, Carnegie Mellon University's Software Engineering Institute, Cisco, Ford Motor Company, Google, Lockheed Martin, Microsoft, Optum, Sandia National Labs, SANS Institute, and SentinelOne. Please do not forget to ask your questions throughout today's webinar. At the end, Haley and Meg will take some time and answer those questions, and they'll be keeping an eye on that chat in the question box throughout the entire time. So you're going to drop those questions in the question box below, and we'll be keeping an eye on that spot. And lastly, if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the WiCyS newsletter to stay up to date on upcoming events and programs. It's the best place to get updated on our upcoming webinars and different program launches throughout the year. You can find this at WiCyS.org in the upper right-hand corner. With that, I'm going to pass it over to Haley and Meg with Arctic Wolf.
Thank you so much. We are so excited to be here today. I love WiCyS. It's something I've been a part of for a couple of years now and has meant a lot to me and helped me so much in my journey through my career in cybersecurity. Today, we want to talk about internships. I started as an intern at Arctic Wolf a few years ago and am now a concierge security engineer too at Arctic Wolf, and I'm here with Haley Stuckel, our Senior Manager of Emerging Talent. We're so glad to be here. Starting out today, I'm going to talk about my experience as an intern and how that helped me set my path and start out in my career in cybersecurity. As far as an agenda, like I said, starting into my career journey, we'll talk a little bit about internships, about what we do at Arctic Wolf. I'll go over some lessons that I learned as an intern, a little bit of advice that I have for those starting internships or starting out their career in cybersecurity. I'll take a little pause for those that might have some questions just for me. I'll be looking for those in the chat, and then we'll go ahead and have Haley answer some more specific questions about internships at Arctic Wolf, and she'll have a little bit of a presentation there as well. So diving into things here, first things first, what is Arctic Wolf? I wanted to spend a little bit of time talking about our mission, which is to end cyber risk. A lofty goal, but one we are very excited about, and one that we think we can accomplish, and we are pushing towards with our solutions. Just wanted to highlight a few of those here. We provide 24/7 monitoring, detection, and response, as well as risk management and security awareness training with our products. We detect, respond to, and recover from threats with our managed detection and response. With our managed risk product, we discover, assess, harden environments against risk. We know that the end user can often be the weakest link when it comes to security. So we also provide security training for employees, helping organizations build a strong culture of security. And then we also provide incident response services. All of these, we believe, will help us to end cyber risk. We're very, very passionate about that. I want to say I love to work for Arctic Wolf. It's a wonderful organization, And having a mission such as this is something I'm very passionate about, and I've grown to love. So just a little bit of background into who we are as an organization. My name is Meg Warren. I am a concierge security engineer. And first things first, just want to say I love my job. I love cybersecurity. I love what I do. And I love to help people, which is ultimately why I wanted to get into cybersecurity. So talking over my journey to this career, I think a lot of people have a unique journey to cybersecurity. I think that's something many can relate to. Mine in particular began with a first coding class. I planned on being a teacher. I wanted to teach high school. I was really into photography and video editing and graphic design when I was in high school. So I decided, okay, I'm gonna become a teacher. And in order to do that, I had to take a coding class, and it was a C++ class. I don't know how I loved it so much, but I did. And I realized, wow, nobody had ever told me that I could love computers so much. It had never been presented to me as an option in high school. So when I was in college, I fell in love with computers and with solving problems. And I decided to explore that a bit more. In the fall of 2020, I took my first cybersecurity class, fell in love with the idea of cybersecurity, and made a switch to study cybersecurity. In the summer of 2021, I started working as an administrator for a youth cybersecurity camp. And that is when I first joined WiCyS, which helped me to explore more career options, get a bit more of an idea of what I wanted to do. After that, I began working as a system administrator. I then worked in vulnerability management. And then during my time in school, I worked as a research and teaching assistant for intro to cybersecurity classes, for cybersecurity ethics classes. And I really enjoyed doing that. However, I realized at a certain point that SOC work, Security Operations Center work, I really was interested in. I wanted to work in a SOC. I was interested in blue team work. I was interested in defense. I was interested in protecting organizations. And my university was going to the local Arctic Wolf office for a tour as a cybersecurity club. So I thought I'd tag along and check things out. While I was there, I actually met Haley and a few of the other employees and decided that I would apply for an internship. Just kind of get out there, try things out, and get some experience. And a few months later, I started work as a triage security analyst intern at Arctic Wolf. A little while later, I graduated with my bachelor's degree in cybersecurity and started working full-time at Arctic Wolf, and I've been there ever since, and I'm still loving it. So I wanted to dive into a little bit of what I did as an intern and what I've been doing since, how I've grown in my career here, and then we'll jump into a little bit of my advice. So working at Arctic Wolf, some basic responsibilities for the triage security analyst interns. First, I wanted to highlight what the word triage means. I'm sure we're all a little bit familiar with that word as its basic definition, but what does it mean in cybersecurity? Essentially, when we say triage, we mean our first line of defense, our frontline engineers, the first people to be reached out to by our customers when there is an incident, when there is something suspicious going on, the first people to notice any kind of suspicious activity and to alert our customers. That's our triage team. That was really exciting to me as an intern to be able to see so many things going on and learn so much. So as an intern, that was so wonderful to be able to be exposed to so many different things. So I was able to spend a lot of time speaking with customers, learning about a lot of different environments, and solving problems. That's what I was so drawn to, and helping people. Like I said at the beginning, that's what I wanted to do. I was also given specific project work to help improve things for more senior engineers. And most important, and something that really helped me, was I got mentorship from senior engineers. There were so many wonderful engineers here at Arctic Wolf that really took me under their wing and taught me how to be successful, taught me how to learn. They taught me how to be a good security engineer. That's the best way I can say it. That mentorship was invaluable. So as much as I can say, I can say so many things about our internship program, but that was the most valuable thing to me, was being able to learn from my peers and see them work. So other than the technical skills that I built, really learning from them and watching them work was the most valuable to me. Once I became a full-time analyst and then a full-time engineer, once again, still first line of defense, I kept that on there. Being able to be exposed to that was so fascinating. I assisted in more investigations, gathering logs for customers, and still, again, you'll see mentorship on there quite a bit. You might notice a bit of a theme in my slides. Receiving mentorship from those senior engineers and then beginning to mentor other wolves. That's what we call ourselves here at Arctic Wolf. It was wonderful to be able to then flip and mentor the newer interns, teach them how to be successful. That was something I've always wanted to do as well, from the beginning of my career. So just as a basic idea of what I did as I began to be full-time after my internship. Now, my responsibility is working more closely with customers, creating more of a partnership with specific ones. I investigate other security events, review past investigations with those customers. I also have regular meetings with them to discuss their security posture and to also suggest proactive security measures with them. And my goal is to protect and delight our customers, as always. My time as an intern was really valuable to help me get to this point that I'm at now, not only because it helped me to learn those internal processes and to learn how the company works before moving full-time, but it also helped me to learn how to ask questions, to learn how to be teachable. And so I wanted to dive into a couple of words of advice that I have for you as you are considering moving into the cybersecurity world, applying for internships, specifically at Arctic Wolf maybe, or at other organizations, some things that I would suggest that can help you as you move into your career. First things first, I've said mentor a lot. I'll keep saying it. Finding a mentor makes a big difference. Finding someone who is willing to help you can go a long way. And a big part of that is asking for feedback. It can be scary to ask for feedback. It can be terrifying to ask how you can be better. However, that feedback can be invaluable. Oh, I've got some automatic lights. It turned off on me. Sorry about that. I recently went through an experience where I needed to ask for some feedback from a mentor of mine. And it was terrifying. I knew that I had done maybe not the best job on something, but that feedback that I got back has helped me so much to become better at my job. So finding a mentor that you feel comfortable asking for feedback from, invaluable. Second, along with this mentorship is to be a mentor. I know as an intern, you're coming in, you're new, but working to become the mentor that you need is an important concept that I learned. I remember starting out and wishing that I had a female peer that could have taken me under her wing. I didn't at the time, but I made a goal to be that female peer to any other woman that came into my workplace, and I worked to become that. I truly believe that the more you work to help others, the more help comes to find you. I also had the awesome opportunity with working with Arctic Wolf to stay involved in my community, specifically with my university. While I was at my university, I was involved with starting our chapter of WiCyS. And now that I'm still at Arctic Wolf, I still am able to go back and spend time with them, mentor those students, and still get to know them. I'm really grateful that I have that opportunity with them. So being able to stay involved as a mentor is also great advice, even as you're getting started. Finding ways to be involved and to help others is a great way to grow. So moving on here to my next bit of advice, which is own the outcome. This is one of our culture tenets here at Arctic Wolf. We always own the outcome. But when I started here, I took this as a personal goal and a personal motto to always own my outcome, to always own the outcome of the work that I do, specifically to always finish what I start and to never ignore a problem. This is the best advice I can give, pure workload wise, to never ignore a problem, to always finish what I start. But ultimately, you're in charge of your own success, and you own your own success. I also always will say that you should be accountable for your bad work and also for your good work. I say when you do a good job, you should tell someone. I often will send my good work to my managers and say, I did a good job on this, please look. It took a while to feel comfortable with that, but I found that as I do that, I feel more confident in my position. And it's okay to do that. It's okay to say, hey, I did a good job. Check this out. This is good work. If you can see anywhere where I can improve, please let me know. But I want you to know I did a good job on this. And you can own your wins, just like you can own your mistakes. My next bit of advice is to be curious. If something's interesting, explore it. Don't be afraid to ask questions. I've always been afraid to seem dumb because I had a question. There's so many knowledgeable people in this field, and asking a question can be terrifying sometimes because you feel like they'll look at you like you know less. But getting over that fear is so important to your development and your knowledge. And that's something that I learned here, is that there are no stupid questions. You can always ask a question, and always there's someone who's willing to help. It's an important concept to learn that we all have to start somewhere. My last bullet point there, we all must start somewhere. And asking questions is the best place to start. So be curious, ask questions, and don't be afraid to explore things that interest you. You might, find something incredibly helpful or a new path for yourself. My last bit of advice here is to make your goals known. This is another little motto of mine. I heard it when I was in maybe my first couple of months here at Arctic Wolf. We had a meeting as our Women Transforming Tech organization here within Arctic Wolf for International Women's Day, and some people were sharing advice, and someone shared this. I don't remember who. I wish I did. I would thank them if I did. But they said their biggest bit of advice was to make their goals known. Tell people what you want to do. Tell your managers. Tell your friends. Tell your family. Tell people what you want to do. This is what I did when I started out. I told my manager, this is what I want to be. I told them, I want to be a concierge security engineer. That is what I want to do. I told my manager when I was an intern, and he said, all right, well, that's what we'll work towards. Here's what we'll do. I spoke that goal aloud, and then I made it happen. It's important that you make those goals known. That's probably the biggest advice that I can give. Make sure people know what you want to do. It's okay to be ambitious and to make people know that you are. I've seen a lot of great things happen as I've made my goals, as I've brought them out into the universe. I've seen them be accomplished. And I truly believe that that's because I told as many people as I could. So that as you move into your career, as you get started, make sure that you make those goals solid and you tell whoever you can what your plans are. So with that, I see quite a few questions in the chat. I haven't been looking. I'm going to do a quick scan. I've got a couple pins. I'm going to look at those. The first one is regarding credentials gained prior to an internship. I do think that Haley's going to go over a little bit there. One that I know that we specifically will look for is Security Plus certification, Network Plus, and I believe A Plus. That's one that I know a lot of our managers will look for, and having those certifications do provide you with the knowledge base that our interns will need. So that is what I would say there. Let's see. I've got a question about asking how someone with a non-traditional background can break into cybersecurity. I love this question. I would answer by being curious, by not being afraid to ask questions. And I know this is really just a basic answer, but by being fearless. I know it can be scary to break into something new, but as long as you are curious and willing to learn, and I would say also maybe a little bit humble, willing to make mistakes, that's how I would suggest. As far as actual things to do, I mentioned those certifications. I think there are quite a few certifications and courses for beginners that are very helpful. I have plenty of friends that have started just with the Security Plus and just kind of jumped into it. So I think as far as like things on a list to kind of check off, there are plenty of courses and certifications that you can kind of use to break into cybersecurity. Obviously, I'm not entirely sure of the non-traditional background in this case, but that's kind of how I'd say is maybe start with those certifications. So I've been seeing quite a few questions about degrees, certifications.
I can take those too, Meg, because
Yeah.
I think once we get through part of my presentation, piece of the presentation, some of it might be answered and I can answer.
Yeah.
Now I'll be answering somewhat from a specific Arctic wolf. Hi, everybody. I'm Haley. So, Meg, are you done? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just figured I'd jump in and be like, I'll get to these. So,
yeah. I think a lot of these other ones I'll respond to individually. So I'll just go ahead and let you take it, Haley.
Okay.
And then if there are any others that I can respond to as a whole at the end, I'll go ahead and do that. So
Okay, cool.
I'll just let you take it away.
Thank you. Right. Hi, everybody. I am Haley Stuckel. I support our emerging talent recruitment or talent acquisition. I used to be more specifically known as university recruiting, but we know specifically within our security services team, so the triage roles, concierge roles, incident response, et cetera, there's a lot of different paths that can find their way to be able to be successful in those roles. And so we don't just focus on four-year universities in particular for our internships and our roles. And so therefore really kind of evolved my team more to be emerging talent, meaning we know that this is talent that is new probably into the field, but not necessarily only new grads, although that is still definitely a pipeline of talent for us. But we know that there's a lot of different places to go. So speaking to some of the value of internships, and like Meg mentioned, and I've known her since she came to the office tour in our Utah office. So it was, I feel like, one of my most successful individuals to bring on, because it's pretty fun to be able to see here people progress. And I came from Cisco and I worked there for about 5 years, and I didn't get to see my interns progress, partly just the way we were structured, but there were a lot of layers there, and people didn't move as quickly or as maybe efficiently is a better word. But it's really fun to be here and see the talent that's starting off as interns and gaining that skill set and expanding their knowledge, move into other roles within the organization. So talking kind of in general and then sort of specific is how I'd like to kind of use my time talking with all of you. So just some fun facts. I don't know if they're fun. They might be somewhat surprising. I live my world within kind of the student realm. And so just kind of some timing around, and this I share also with the businesses I support, but it's just really helpful, I think, to know and get some insight into the volume that is out there, but then also the amount of roles that we know, or talent acquisition is starting to recognize individuals are applying to. So, almost the majority of students are applying to 60 plus intern opportunities, and probably a lot of you as well who are career transitioners are doing very similar things. And a large percentage are accepting a true summer internship by April. So you will see the bulk of internships for a lot of organizations being posted in the fall, perhaps into the spring, but really heavily recruiting in the fall for that next summer. Arctic Wolf's a little unique with our intern program in that we have interns all the time. So we don't have, within our S2 organization, so the triage security analyst intern, we don't hire for any specific start date. We have them as real-time hires. And so a little unique, if you see an opportunity open specifically with us, it's because that position we are looking to fill it. But if you do see other organizations, it probably more than likely could be for a dedicated start date of a summer internship, maybe a fall internship or a winter internship. So just something to keep in mind, but I would say look for those types of roles at all times. A big piece too that I think is really interesting is about 70% of I'll say like students or whoever may be in the internship receive an offer from the company that they interned with to return full time. So I would say Arctic Wolf is probably closer to 95%. We really have created our intern program intentionally to move to our full-time analyst role. Obviously, it can't ever say 100% because it is not exactly one-to-one, but really our intent when we're talking with our potential interns is that we're interviewing with that full-time mindset in mind. Is this the right fit for our organization? Is someone really passionate about cybersecurity? Do they want to stay here long term? Those are all things that we consider. Where there are some other programs where it is purely an internship, they may or may not have the opportunity to bring someone back full time. They have more project work, et cetera. But really ours is intentful. And I think a lot of internship programs are moving to that intent of being able to convert full time. I know there were some questions around non-traditional backgrounds or non-university backgrounds. I think something that I don't have to utilize as much when I'm talking with our S2 organization, but more with some of our other pieces of the business is that higher education enrollment is decreasing. My number is a little bit dated. I'm assuming it probably is even more since 2020, 2021. And so how do you find talent that is more skill-based than just purely looking at the 4-year degree or pretty much 4-year degree or master's degree? There's still a lot of value in those degrees. So if you're pursuing that path, please keep doing it. But we know that there's other ways, especially into cybersecurity. So I think we've kind of, I'll say, hopefully gotten ahead a little bit of the trend within our S2 organization of looking at skills over looking at just a pure 4-year diploma that, great, you have a bachelor's degree in whatever it is, you must be qualified. We really don't have that mindset. Oops, I almost pressed the wrong button. Here we go. So some timeline tips around university recruiting and, or I will say just internship recruiting. I'm assuming we probably have some international individuals on. I support the US and Canada, so North America. I know EMEA, Asia Pac, Australia, some of those countries do things on a slightly different cadence. So I can speak mostly to US and Canada or North America based. Typically what you'll find, like I said, interns start in May, go through the summer, often a 10 to 12 week internship. Canada has a co-op model where not everybody has to do it, but a lot of the universities and colleges have that piece. It's very similar to an internship, although it is part of your academic program and needed to or required to graduate. They often will have 3 terms. So a term that starts in May, a term that starts in September, a term that starts in January, and they're roughly 16 weeks. So almost more like a semester of school. That is the focus. But here are some tips that I have for anybody coming out and looking at internships. Relationships and communication are key. Utilize LinkedIn. Connect, do some research, but connect with individuals in an organization. Let's say you're like, I love Arctic Wolf. I want to work at Arctic Wolf. Go on LinkedIn. Look for emerging talent or university recruiters. They're going to have the best insight into potential internships, or I'll say like, and I'll call it an entry level type of an opportunity where you can step in and start building your skill set. Look for somebody who is in a triage security analyst role and try and connect with them, explain who you are, what your interest is. Utilize awesome resources like WiCyS. And if you're a member, right, like find other WiCyS members and companies that you have interest in and connect with them. There's a lot of great programs out there, different mentorship programs, different, I'll say conferences, things like that, local conferences that teams are there, not always recruiters, but their teams are there to build connections and network. It's a great way to explore a company before formally applying, get some insight, share some of your feedback, etc. Engage early, building your brand, your self-brand, and discovering opportunities. Like I said, a lot of jobs are posted 8 months in advance of when they're looking at someone to start for an internship. So be aware of that. Participate in different opportunities as you're able to, whether it is something through a program or a university where you can go to Arctic Wolf and have a SOC tour, or they're coming on campus, a company's coming on campus. I know it's not always easy. I've done a lot of presentations on campuses where I've had like 3 or 4 people show up, and I know that people have to prioritize within their schedules. But usually my name is still out there on that event, and so a way to reach out and engage. Like I said, start in the fall. And then the big thing, don't always look for titles. I think that's something that can be a little bit challenging when first starting out. If you're looking for like a SOC analyst role, well, we don't call it a SOC analyst, we call it a triage security analyst. So pick out the keywords for roles that you're interested in and search for keywords on whatever job board, company posting site that you have access to and are searching. Just because there's no formal kind of titling across the board. So I would look for keywords over just titles. Also, respond promptly to recruiters. I'm probably like, you probably all do, but if someone reaches out and you're interested, it's really helpful to respond back. Recruiters, talent acquisition professionals will still most often be using email. It's something that I've had to work a lot with my I'll say like Gen Z talent pool, is to please look at your email, because that is the way that a lot of businesses still communicate. Some applicant tracking systems have an opt-in if you would like to receive a text, but more often than not, we're going to be emailing. So just something to keep in mind. So interns in general, this is, and a little more specifically to Arctic Wolf, but our interns are getting to work on a variety of work. I know Meg talked on it to her experience, but we really do value our interns as part of our teams across the board. So yes, there might be an occasional project like a process improvement or something that the team has that maybe they are like, oh, this is awesome, this intern is coming on board. This would be a great project for them to work on while they're expanding their skill set here with us. Other companies are very project driven. So that's something to ask perhaps in an interview? Is it more project-based? Is it more, I'll say, like, learning the role? Our interns are really learning the role. They're in the SOC, they're seeing real life security events, they're looking at our triage boards, they have access, they're brought in. They do get a lot of mentoring. They do get a lot of shadowing work. They are working on tickets, right? Eventually, probably maybe not day one that you jump in, but it probably depends a little bit on your background as well. But those are experiences our interns are getting. And so I'd encourage you, as you're going through your interviewing process, to ask kind of what an intern or that level role would get to work on within their program. So some of the skills and experiences that we look for within our interns, we're looking for someone. And so as you can see, there's no bachelor's degree or 2-year degree listed up here. We're really looking for often the skills and experiences, knowing that can come, like I said, through the 4-year degree or through a certification, try HackMe, you have a home lab, whatever it may be. We look for security basics. So that's where the certifications are helpful. If someone has the Security Plus, we know that you've been curious and you have a passion for this. It's not an easy certification. And so it really does show that you're wanting to learn and grow your skill set. At Arctic Wolf, I would say that desire to continue to build your skills is critical. If someone's coming in is like, I don't have interest in learning more, I don't know that will be the best fit here in particular. We are looking for people who want to grow. We have a pretty fast-paced, right now, high growth culture, especially within S2. We have service level agreements that as we acquire additional customers, we have to have so many resources available to be monitoring their networks and being able to be their security point. So we are probably always hiring somebody within our S2 organization. But coming in, having the security basics, having some experience or exposure, especially network routing and switching, having that, I will say that's the biggest, I feel like, deterrent when I talk to my managers is they're like, they don't really understand the network at all. Not that you have to be an expert. You don't have to be a network engineer, but having that curiosity to figure that out and do some studying on that's been a piece that I've found that my managers kind of like to highlight in somebody and like to find out what they know. But then others of these on here too, understanding operating systems, Active Directory, et cetera. And as we are supporting customers, all of our customers have different technology, right? So we are never going to say we need someone who only works in a Mac operating environment, because our customers work in all different types of operating systems. So just having that natural curiosity to learn, try HackMe is great. Hack the Box. If you're in CTFs, those sorts of things, really helpful. If you're applying at a specific company within their security team, they may ask for more specific things, right? Because that's their environment that you're working with, not 6,000 plus different environments. So what we look for, and I will say that this transcends, I would say, not just even within cybersecurity. This, I would say, transcends across all of my newer to work, newer to company type roles. Passion. That's the number one thing. Passion for this industry, passion for learning and growth is really sticks out. And it stands out, and it's almost a requirement, I would say, like from my managers, especially within S2. Leadership skills, whether you led a CTF or you were part of a club or org, or how do you demonstrate kind of your natural ability to be part of a team and work with others. And I think some of those leadership qualities come through in that. Soft skills, always the ability to communicate, the ability to ask questions, to ask for more, be comfortable kind of talking about what you're working on, what you need as well. Being able to communicate internally, I think also demonstrates somewhat that you're able to communicate externally to customers who are probably, sometimes it's a pretty, I'm sure, easy conversation. And sometimes there may be some difficult conversations that are being had with customers in highly, could be tense environments or kind of tense situations. And then extracurriculars. This is where I mentioned Try Hack Me, Hack the Box, CTFs, organizations like WiCyS. How are you continuing to build like podcasts? What do you listen to? What do you gravitate towards watching on YouTube? That might be cyber specific. I was at a presentation once and somebody said, so you don't want me to be interested in anything else? That's what I'm hearing. And we're like, no, that's not right. We do want you to be interested in baseball or football or whatever, or knitting, I don't know, like whatever, cooking. But do you truly want to work in cybersecurity? Do you want to grow here? Do you want to experience and explore the opportunities and paths that you can have here? And I think that shows through, like, oh yeah, on my way to yoga, I'm listening to a podcast around cybersecurity, right? Not all the time, but do you do things that continue to build your knowledge about what's going on? And then the last piece I always say is culture. So I love the culture at Arctic Wolf. I sit remote, so I'm not in an office. I feel like when I go to any of the offices, the culture is very much the same across multiple offices, right? Every office is a little unique because they're different people, of course, but the culture of Arctic Wolf and our values and our mission transcends the offices. And so look for a company where you're excited about the culture. Work is work, like, right? I'm just gonna be honest. Work is work. It's not always fun. It's not always the best part of your day, and it is the most part of your day primarily. So find a company where you love to be and where you're really engaged in what you get to do, even if you don't love what you're doing at that particular moment. And the culture helps that. I know we are I would say we're a very employee-centric culture. We really look to engage our employees and have fun experiences for them. Not every company is like that. I've worked at somewhere it is really about the work, right? And you can choose to get involved or not, but it doesn't feel fun or doesn't feel friendly or didn't feel whatever, or you just don't feel like you fit in. So take some time, right? Like an interview is as much of an opportunity for us to assess your background, your potential fit with the organization, as it is for you to feel like, is this a good fit for me? Am I feeling, when I talk to this manager, this team, am I going to be able to be successful here and grow here? And it's okay if it's not, right? Like, I would rather have someone call me and be like, I just don't think that this is the best fit for me, than come and leave within 2 months, right? Like, that's not, it's not if you already kind of knew that it wasn't a fit, right? It's just not a great use of your time and resources to do that. So really consider what type of culture you want to be in. You should be able to get a pretty good feel of it. I know there's a lot of Zoom interviews right now and those sorts of things, which I think are really effective, and it has freed up a lot of people's time. But if someone was like, hey, if you want to come in person to the office and interview, I would highly recommend taking that person up on that. You will get a good feel of the culture once you walk in, and if it's somewhere you want to be. That's my last slide. I have not also been reading the questions. I think this used to say questions, but as you can tell, like, my PowerPoint's a little different, so I don't know that the white words came across, but we're happy to answer questions. We'll read through some of them, or I don't know, Meg, if you found any that you think are good that I should try to answer. You want to answer?
I pinned a couple to the top there
Okay.
for us to answer. I'll just kind of jump. I'll answer one if you want to kind of look through those while I'm answering, because there were definitely some there that I think are Haley questions. There was one specifically about the difference between concierge security engineer and a SOC analyst with respect to responsibilities. So I'll just answer that. I know that's definitely taking a big step backwards from the internships, but as far as a difference there between those, an analyst is definitely working more in investigations of suspicious activity, whereas a concierge, in its most basic form, right, without diving too deep into things, and a concierge security engineer works more closely with our customers, definitely kind of in more of a proactive security role, while still at times assisting in investigations. But that's kind of the biggest difference there. Without kind of diving too deep into it. I don't want to spend too much time there because I know we have a ton more questions about internships and skills here, but that's the biggest difference is investigations versus proactive security and working closely with customers. So that's that. I wanted to make sure I covered that because that was the only question I saw from that portion there. So go ahead, Haley.
I was going to say underrated skills. I think a lot of times it's the ability to, and I'll speak for us. So we understand someone coming in, especially into an intern role, is not going to have a lot of hands-on experience potentially, and so demonstrating. It's kind of the one point where I would say if someone asks you a question, you are good to answer in this scenario, this is what I would do. A lot of times in other roles, I don't recommend that, but in this particular field, I think there is a way to mesh what you're learning. And like, I've learned this, we understand you haven't maybe gotten to apply it yet. So that a way to kind of pull what you've learned over into what would you do, I would say also, this is Arctic Wolf specific as well, but my managers have said they'd rather have someone be like, I'm not really sure about that, but this is where I'd go find the information to know, or this is how I'd go about getting that information, rather than either making up an answer or just being like, oh, I don't know that, and like moving on. Like, I think there's a lot to be said because we all don't know something in what we're doing. And I've been doing my job a long time, recruiting a long time. And there's things that come up that I don't know. And I need to ask somebody, what do you think about this? Let's have a conversation about it. And so I think that is okay to some extent in an interview, right? Like not every question, right? Because then they're going to say, okay, obviously you don't have the basics, but on pieces where you really, sometimes I ask some deeper level questions. It's okay to say, I'm not quite sure, but I feel like if in this course that I'm taking next semester, or in this type of training that I'm looking at, I would be able to get comfortable with getting that information. So that's a little bit of answer on that. Sorry, that was a long answer too.
Just fine. The question for the I'm seeing one about being unemployed and not in the workplace. How do you find a mentor? If you're not working, you don't have a manager to be a mentor or a coworker to be a mentor. I think, the fact that you're here listening to a WiCyS webinar, you are obviously familiar with WiCyS, great organization to be able to find a mentor in. I went to the WiCyS conference as a student and also as a professional, and was able to get in contact with people who are still mentors to me that I did not work with. I know organizations like that can help to create mentorship opportunities. I think LinkedIn is also a great place. I know that a lot of people are open to starting mentorship relationships on LinkedIn. That's how I've gotten in contact with mentors before. So that's kind of how I would recommend outside of employment. That's been what's worked for me. Other than that, not unless Haley has other ideas, but that's kind of what I'd recommend as far as that. So.
I think that's too where you could build some LinkedIn connections. So if you're in an org like WiCyS or other organizations that might be cybersecurity focused, they either may have formal mentor programs or maybe is, I don't want to say simple because it's never quite simple, but finding somebody maybe who is in your state or in your city, and that they've kind of had a similar path based on what you can kind of find in LinkedIn around, looking for women in cybersecurity or something to that effect, and reaching out and trying to form a conversation that way to see if they'd be open to having coffee and finding out more about their career path could be really helpful as well. I saw a question, and maybe I addressed this, so I apologize if I'm repeating myself, around internships only catering to recent college grads or academic education. I mean, that is true. I think you'll see a lot more companies who have some flexibility. It depends a little bit on the company. I've worked at places where our internship program was funded differently, and so we could only consider students that were going to be returning to school. Arctic Wolf is very different. I am actually looking for people who are recently finished with their program or about to finish. Our intent, like I said, is to convert to full-time analyst roles from our intern pipeline or intern program. And so I'm not able to wait a year for somebody to graduate. So ours is structured slightly different. And I can't say like the timeline. I've had people who are promoted in 2 months. I've had people promote in 8 months. So there's no necessarily set time that someone's in the intern role. But that's where I would say, I know where I was previously, it did say you have to be in the summer between your junior and senior year. So I wouldn't bother, right? I mean, that's just something they're not going to be able to change within however their program is structured. But look for the opportunities. Intern is a great word. Apprentice is a great word. Part-time might be an opportunity to break in. It may be something where they're covering a leave, and so they're bringing in some part-time that could convert to full-time depending on future headcount, things like that. So those are some of my recommendations. And yes, some are looking for four-year university students, but there's a lot who do have some flexibility in what we're recruiting. That helps. Any others?
All right. There was a question about, I wanted to address this one mostly because we have some really awesome interns here in the Utah office that are not recent graduates. They're not straight from college, as age-wise, but are very qualified individuals and are killing it. So I don't want to say you have to be, a college age person to be successful in these entry roles. I those interns are absolutely fantastic. So I saw a couple questions about some people transitioning later in their careers. So I don't want that to be something that stops you from applying for those entry level positions as well. So wanted to throw that out there also. And then there is a question as well, advice for women navigating male dominated cybersecurity teams. I could go on and on about this. So this is, I do work with mostly male team members. They are all fantastic. I know Haley talked a lot about our culture here. We have a really supportive culture. I don't think I've ever felt uncomfortable on my team with my male coworkers. But of course, I could share so much advice about how to work on a male-dominated team. Essentially, I think my biggest piece of advice would be to remember that your success is up to you, as I shared earlier, to own your outcome, and you are qualified already if you are there, regardless of those around you, and to just keep that in mind. I think a lot of times I found myself getting overwhelmed and feeling that imposter syndrome, but remembering that I'm in charge of my own success helps me to get away from that. With that said, learning that it's okay to ask for help has also helped me to feel more comfortable on those teams, that you're not dumb if you need help. That's been a big roadblock for me, a big thing to get over, but that has helped me to feel more comfortable, and is kind of a big piece of advice that I'd give without talking about it for an hour and a half, right? So awesome. I've got another one pinned, and then we have so many more. I don't know if we want to try to answer them anymore, but how do we balance learning multiple tools and technologies without getting overwhelmed? I mean, I would say take it one piece at a time. You don't need to know everything. It's impossible to know everything. There are so many tools to know, so many technologies. I can honestly say everyone I work with does not know everything. We are constantly having to ask each other questions, and that's something I love about cybersecurity, specifically about Arctic Wolf, is it's a very collaborative environment. We all help each other, and we all help each other learn. So you don't need to know everything. With that being said, I think taking it one bit at a time is how I would balance that. I would also say it's important to be well-rounded, and to have other hobbies, interests outside of cybersecurity. Burnout is real. Don't let your passion for your career overwhelm you and make you sick of it. So if you are getting to that point where learning those tools and technologies is making you overwhelmed, take a step back. It's okay to not know everything. Understand that, and it's okay. So
I'm just going to, one last thing around specifically Arctic Wolf. So we currently only have intern opportunities, and actually pretty much all level opportunities within our security services teams in the US, Canada, Germany, and Australia. If I'm missing anything, Meg can let me know, but I'm pretty confident that that's pretty much our territory focuses right now. Interns, we do not have in Australia currently. It's a newer area or location for us. And so they're continuing to build out kind of I'll say like the rest of the team there first. So we don't have international opportunities. And also, caveat of our business, the roles need to be in person. So we do occasionally have some work from home opportunities on a kind of, I don't want to say reward basis, but more on it's a holiday, people can work from home or those sorts of things. But it's not, we've really built a strong culture of being in person. So they are in Utah, Texas, Minnesota, Ontario, and then Germany as well. So I'll wrap and then I'll let Meg wrap. It was great to meet you all. Please feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. My name is, I think, under my face. So, and I think it is that name as well on LinkedIn. So you can search me or Arctic Wolf and University Recruiting or Emerging Talent, and I should pop up. But it was really fun to present to you all, and thanks for your time.
Awesome. Same thing. Thank you so much. This was a joy to present. I'm so grateful. Again, I also am on LinkedIn. Feel free to connect with me. I'm happy to provide advice, thoughts, mentorship. I talked enough about it, but feel free to connect with me, ask questions, and thank you so much for tuning in. Appreciate it.